Love you, brothers and sisters, and thank you for joining the Wease Family Circus, brought to you by Clark Peshkin. You know, you've heard me talk about him for years, being a great family law, divorce providers, but now they'll help you with estate planning, and it's a big deal. Most people are undereducated in estate planning. Doreen isn't, because we went to a seminar and then we got an estate plan. They have free seminars every other Wednesday at noon and 4 p.m. You can sign up right there at WeaseFamilyCircus.com, free, and you can use it. Today's podcast, we got a guest I can't wait to talk to. This is one of the nicest kids in the world. And, you know, if anyone's young, they'll go, why do old motherfuckers call people kids? My father used to call his buddies a kid. And the guy's 75 years old, what kind of kid? But they can see him, Jake. I see Rich the Bull Gaenzler, ladies and gentlemen, with a storied broadcasting career. Bull, how are you?
Wease, it is great to see you and Dor and Jake. You're killing it. Looks awesome. I've been watching regularly. I don't know what my favorite parts of the show are. I have to say Gussie's probably right up there. She was absolutely priceless.
Well, let me just start by trying to get your history together.
Oy.
It's been so long that...
Let's see if he remembers when you first
he remembers.
met Wease.
He's young.
I know. I want him to help us remember. Where did it begin with Wease?
It began with Wease by listening to Wease, right? I mean, Wease was a huge part of my life as a high schooler and an early college kid. And I knew exactly what I wanted to be at a very young age. I knew I wanted to be a sports guy and on TV or radio at some point in my life. And so I sort of followed my dream. And it was between my junior and senior year in college at St. John Fisher that I made a phone call to CMF because it was my favorite station. And by a mile, the greatest station in Rochester. It wasn't like nobody even touched CMF back then. And so I was like, that's the place I got to be if I'm going to do a radio internship. So I made a phone call. And I don't remember who the receptionist was at the time, but they sent me to Larry Norton. I don't know if you remember that, Wease.
Oh, please, are you kidding? Because we brought him in from Buffalo to produce the show, and I used to fight with him all the time because he was so corny. But so you had to meet with Norton?
So I met with Norton, and he gave me the internship, and I came in, and I basically was a production intern to start out, and I did it for, I don't know what it was, 3 to 6 months in there, and then Norton went back to Buffalo because 97 Rock went back on the air, so he left, went back, became their morning guy again, and I was left as, I don't know if I guess I was a senior in college, maybe 20, 21 years old, as the interim production director at the biggest radio station in Rochester, which was frightening, for sure.
Wow.
And I barely knew what I was doing, but I do give him some credit because he taught me a lot of the basics, which I could get through and by with. But at the time, man, I still have some of the tapes from back then, and it's embarrassing to listen to. I'm not kidding, man. But that's kind of how it started. And then I was completely in awe of where I was. Like, I was like, this is unbelievable. These are like all of my idols between you and Kano and the rest of the area. I mean, I was just like mind blown that I was even in the building. And the fact that like all you guys, because I was a kid that was kind of shy. I didn't have great self-esteem. I was a fat kid growing up and I always got picked on for being the fat kid. Aww. You're the smart fat kid, but you did know a lot of sports. So that was my in with a lot of people that I would not have otherwise had. But at any rate, I come into this place with all my idols, and I mean, you guys were so welcoming. You were so great to me. Granted, I did really crappy work, but it didn't matter to me because I had an end game an end line in sight. I know where I wanted to get to, and this was the only way I was going to get there. So and then progressively, I just kind of would peek my head in at the studio and see hey Wease, hey, how you doing, bro?
Well, I have. You're married?
Yes.
Children?
No children.
No children.
No.
So I
sadly.
want to tell one of my favorite stories. It's a little embarrassing, but it shouldn't be because it was on the radio, and any wife would be proud of you for the story. Can you mind?
Not at all, and I know it well, and I knew it was going to come up, so I'm prepared.
I was actually going to reach out to
Do
you.
you know it?
Yeah, and I was going to reach out to you to ask you if there's anything off limits before so I could prep them, and I never did that, so I feel bad. So I'm glad you're okay with it.
But it makes them look good.
Yeah. What year, you said how old you were. Do you know about what years it was that when you first started?
Yeah, so I started in, it would have been like the summer of 88, I think it was. 88 or 89,
wow.
one of the two. Yeah, I think it was 88, the summer of 88. And then, I did my production internship, and then I would sneak in and kind of do anything Wease needed at times. And then I was doing traffic with Janet Merriam, and then just kind of
and then
elevated.
Eventually you were kind of on Wease's show, right?
Yeah. Like I did sports for a little while, and I would just kind of like hang out, and I was not obviously one of the main people, but I did a lot, and eventually, and I mean I give credit, and I'm sorry to interrupt you, Wease, because I know where you're going with this, but Charlie for me he and I went to McQuaid together. He was so freaking talented, like probably one of the most talented people I've ever known in radio, no doubt about it. He was just funny. He was creative. He was just off the charts. So I knew him. Obviously, I knew Billy. I knew Joe T. I never knew Paulie, but I actually, Wease, was your producer for a little while, and that was the hardest radio time for me ever.
I remember when you were his producer. That's why you hadn't said that. I said, I swore he was a producer at one point.
Yeah.
So,
not for long, but.
So, Jake, wait to hear this story. I think I remember the broad's name. Some kind of winter. Was it Rain Winter or some crap like that, Bull?
Sounds right. Yeah, that sounds right.
I think it was.
So this woman, I forgot why she was on the show.
I think she was on the show because I think you had people, like you definitely had sex people at times. And I think she had a book or something that she gave pointers and helped people who had issues, right? I think that's who it was.
So, Jake, wait to hear this. So we got the chicks in the studio, and I don't know, Bull will know more, but I coerced her to take Bull to a motel and give him some pussy to, let him bang, right?
Basically, he pimped Bull out, or pimped her out to Bull.
Do we know what year this was?
What she was in for?
No,
what year did this happen?
What year this happened?
I don't know. What are you
I want to
kidding?
say...
Yeah. Early 90s, for sure.
We might be able to find this bit.
Yeah.
So keep going.
But anyway, so they go to the motel. They're in the motel. We're on the radio. We can't wait to hear. We're going to call and hear Bull about getting a boy with this chick who's a pro, no less.
Right.
And long story short, and he'll be able to fill it in better, I forgot if you gave us the word on the phone or when you came back to the studio, but Jake, he didn't take the peach. He turned it down.
Good for you, Bull.
And, it was because I think he was Catholic. Is that right, Bull?
He went to McQuaid.
I mean, that was part of it. It was... Yeah, it was part of that. It was, my mom and dad were in town and still alive. And my God, man. And they would have both stroked out like right then if they had heard that I did that. It would have been like insane. So go ahead.
No, I was just going to say the funny part of it is.
Wait, did you go to the hotel? Because I do think he called you from the hotel room.
No, he went.
Yeah, so I can bet. I don't care. I'll tell the story. The story is simple. So basically, I was like, okay, we got into the car, and the hotel was on Jefferson Road. We were on Winton at the time. That's where our studios were. And we're driving over, and I'm like, hey, look, we'll just make this into a bit. We'll just, we'll fib, we'll tell stories, pretend how great it was, and blah, blah, blah.
I didn't know this.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, this is all planned. This is all planned ahead of time. So we get there, and she's like, yeah, okay, I'm good with that. But look, I mean... you're not like super experienced at this point, right? I'm like, well, I'm not, but I wouldn't call myself an expert in this place. And she's like, well, you know what? Let's just try a few things. And I'm like, okay. So we actually did a few things, believe it or not. And,
no kidding. I didn't
but
know.
that was the part. But that was the part. That's when the sort of guilt kicked in, because I did feel at that point, like after the fact, I felt like I've kind of just been. I mean, at my age, thinking back, I'm like, what an idiot. Like, who cares? But so. I, at that point, though, I felt like I was with a hooker. Like I had been with a hooker. Like it just didn't feel great. Like it wasn't someone that in my head I really wanted, or air quotes, needed to sleep with. Right? It just wasn't a thing for me. I wasn't super that. And oh, by the way, it was like 9:30 in the morning, and I know you can do it anytime you want, but it was like,
That's right.
So anyway, so what happens? So we come back, and I'm BSing the whole time when we get back. Everything is. It's not BS, but it's like ramped up a little bit.
Yeah.
And so you guys don't even find out about how I really felt until later in the day. I went to dinner with Tommy.
Right.
And Tommy's like, and I'm telling him, and Tommy's like, dude, you got to tell this on the radio. This is gold. And I'm like, yeah, okay. So we worked it out, and that's when the next day I kind of came forward with how I was feeling, and it was, there were mixed reviews. Some guys were like, "Oh, you suck," and who cares? And other people were like, "Oh, awesome," because I was single at the time too. And anyone that was listening that was even remotely interested in me, that hears me doing that, I'm out, right? So
I don't know. I think it would be the opposite for some women. Would kind of respect you,
But I also have a tendency to overthink, Wease. I mean, anyone that I've ever known closely will tell you that I do have a tendency to overthink and worry more about, pleasing the right people and not. Don't know why that is, 100% unsure. I think it's because my dad always told me, like the one thing my dad always told me, and I even said it at his funeral, was be a good boy. And I feel like that's kind of been my mantra my whole life. It's just be the best person I could be, do the right thing, And I think part of that was like so deep inside me that it kind of came out when it did. It's made for an absolutely phenomenal story. I mean, in terms of great radio segments, I mean, it didn't get much better than that.
How old were you? Do you remember?
I was probably 22-ish.
So here's what kills me: the different kinds of human beings. Because me and all my scumbag friends, which is almost most of them, we couldn't believe it. Because if I was 22 and someone handed me a hook in a motel room, I think I might die and go to heaven. I'm going to find out everything. And Bull on the opposite side, which is fine. What, Jakey?
What you're saying, I mean, he came up obviously from a family that made him understand these values, and it worked. And it just shows that being a good parent actually can pay off.
It's a good point, because, I had no parenting. And my father was as bad as he was bad. So I guess that's...
Wease, everybody knows. I mean, you learned life, in many different, really difficult ways, right? You became a man differently than most. So credit to you for becoming who you became from all of that. I mean, in the end, you're one of the best people I've ever met in my life. And I'm going to interrupt the conversation here very quickly. And I tell this to everybody.
Please.
So... here I am. I'm graduating college, right? And at this point, like I've made really good friends with everyone. I'm on the station softball team. Like I know everybody in the sales pit. And my God, Wease, you know this. That was the greatest time ever in radio. I mean, the best collection of talent I think I've ever seen.
Amen.
The best sales team I've ever seen. I mean, we can argue about management, whatever. But man, so I felt like I was like really ingrained and like I was friendly with people at that time when I was graduating from college. So I invited everybody to my college graduation party, and guess who was the only one person to show up? That guy.
That is so
the
sweet.
only person to show up.
I remember. Was it in your parents' backyard where I came?
It was.
I remember.
Bobby,
I remember. Why wouldn't I go?
That is so sweet.
He's such a nice kid.
I know.
He's a great kid.
Yeah, and it was just, it was, I was like, still today, I'm mind blown that you showed up. Not to say that I thought you were like too big for it or whatever, but like of all the people, right? Everybody else has, they don't have much to do. You always had something to do, and you were there. And my whole family and my friends were like, "Oh my God, Wease is here! Whoa!" Like it was a really big deal, and I've never forgotten it, man.
Was I
He
the
probably
only
had
one
a
that
hockey
came?
game of mine that he skipped to go to that.
Was I
you were
the only one? Was I the only one that came?
You were the only one that
Bunch of
came.
douchebags.
Douchebag.
So let me. I got to get to Buffalo at some point because I was a big fan of yours. But before Buffalo, talk about Cleatorus.
Oh man, those were
Cleatorus.
those were awesome bits, man. I still
Bull
remember
and
those.
BJ. Bull and
Yep.
BJ afternoon show.
Oh, that's right.
Tell.
I mean, look, we're not going to lie. I mean, I know you've mentioned Bob Rivers many times on your podcast, and obviously he was a
Good
great friend.
May
And
he
you know what? I
rest-
never met him, believe it or not.
Oh,
Such one of the. He equals you in sweetness. May he rest in
Yeah.
peace. One
Yeah.
of the bub.
yeah, totally. Just the sweetest guy ever.
He visited us here, Sodas Point, and when we would do radio conventions, BJ and me and him and his crew would go out together all the time, and he was so talented. But why did you bring him up? I forgot.
Because they did the show together. You brought it up.
No, so
BJ
So,
and-
Oh, right.
So Bob Rivers, I bring up Bob Rivers because he was kind of the inspiration for Cleatorus,
Right.
or was it Bob? It was either them or him or Bob and Tom. One of the two had similar parody commercials that were, arguably super dirty if you figured it out. So Cleatorus was it was a car dealership, and we just mocked it like, make sure when you rub down your Cleatorus and if you're cleaning it or whatever, you're. So it just became a historic bit, and we had a couple of those, and my brain at almost 60, believe it or not, Wease is like not functioning well enough to remember the others, but there are a lot of really good ones, and that was epic.
When you and BJ had the afternoon show, is that the show, or were you even aware? According to BJ, I think that was the time where they brought him back thinking that Wease was going to die, and they wanted him in the bullpen to take over if something happened to Wease. I think that was the time that he came.
Are you asking him if he was like keen to that whole situation?
Yeah, if you were aware of that or not.
I was not aware of that. The thing they told me was, wow, here's a great opportunity. Like now you and BJ are a team. Like these afternoon, so obviously, as most of you know, back in the day, like Afternoon Drive was usually just a solo person. And then progressively over the years, it's become a place where now there's teams of people in the afternoons now. So there's a morning show.
Your
Now
show, you and BJ. I love that.
Well, thank you, Wease. We did too. We had a great time. And look, when we both got let go at the same time, I thought our ratings were fantastic. We were doing great. We had a lot of fun. And then, it's where we've come in this industry where, back in the day when it was Stoner Broadcasting and we were like, just a locally owned team. We were literally just that. We were a team. We gave a crap. Like we worked our asses off, and we played hard too. Right? It was very cliche, but that was kind of the deal. Then the corporations started coming in, and then everything rapidly changed. Right? So I think we went from I'm going to get this wrong, but we went from CBS to ARS or vice versa, whatever. Yeah. And in the process, to obviously to streamline their bottom line in terms of the purchase, they had to cut, and so they cut BJ and I. And then obviously BJ went and did his thing. I went and did my things. But I had a blast doing that with him. It was a lot of fun.
So let me get to Buffalo now.
Well, hold on, Wease. Can I interrupt you?
Please.
I'm sorry.
No.
And I have to. So my memories of you and your show are like just the people you had in your studio. And you've mentioned this how. And so have a lot of your guests and your former coworkers that are like, how does this guy in Rochester, New York get these high end people to come on his radio show? And that is the beauty of you and your charisma and the way you do things, right? Because all of those people respected you and they all came back. Anytime the opportunity came, they all came back. Like I remember guys, and I know you've talked about Sam, and that was unbelievable. Like your relationship with him
a week
was
at
sick.
a time.
Yeah, that was sick. You had every kind of band in there. Bob Saget, Jimmy Walker. I remember one of my favorite ones
Chris
ever.
Rock.
Jamie Foxx was in there. And I remember this was like Jamie Foxx was like kind of in living color, I think, at the time. Wasn't even a movie star yet. And he got gigantic. I mean, all these massive names you had, and you were not at all intimidated by them. Like you were just having, that's what made you a great, and still are, a great broadcaster. Is like you just chatted with them. You had a conversation. A lot of people can't do that. A lot of people have to be scripted, and it's, we got to clear these questions first, and blah, blah, blah. You just shot the shit. You just had a blast with them, and you were so good at it, and that's something I tried to take away from you.
Well, the fun part was, what's that, Jake?
He was going to say his favorite one, but I think we sidetracked him. I don't know if you mentioned, you were going to tell us your favorite guest or something, or bit from the show. You were about to tell us, Bull.
Or maybe he was saying his favorite part was all those people.
Okay.
That's probably what it was.
That was. It was just the fact that Wease had so many big name people in there. And you're just kind of like, wow. Like,
I didn't realize
awesome.
that you were there for all that. I've seen pictures, and now when I'm thinking back at some of the pictures, I do see you in the background of a lot of those pictures.
Oh, yeah.
And like Winton Road for me, well, obviously you knew Layton Avenue, but Winton Road for me was like the highlights. And then it became, or not Winton Road, I'm sorry, Monroe Avenue. Monroe Avenue was the highlights for me.
Monroe Avenue, that was Sam.
That was amazing.
That was actually, Adam Sandler was there, for crying out loud.
Yeah, yep.
Anyway, I was so lucky because at the beginning when I was having comedians, do you know I had to talk Opie, and he'll admit it. They wouldn't let comedians on Opie and Anthony. I had to talk them into it, and then he finally did. But when I was having comedians on way at the beginning in the 80s, they would come on, and they were used to being on Top 40 zoos, where they would get 5 or 10 minutes and they had to tell jokes.
Right, they give you three jokes that you had to like sort of build off your own personal introduction to, right?
And I said, well, not here. Here, I want you to be you, and we're going to be on all morning, and you can just be part of the show. You don't even have to tell a fucking joke or do if you want to.
Or do part of your bit.
Then we became friends. All those times.
Yeah.
And it is, I was going to say, it is funny too, because like a lot of those guys are, they are literally just stage performers. So they go out and they do their thing, where when they're not performing, they may not actually be that funny, right? You've run into a lot of those people, right?
Yes. Chris Rock was lame. Seinfeld was, I forgot he was, and I knew, I think Larry Miller and I became friends.
Yep.
Not a big name, but you know who he is.
Sure.
They used to have a group, him and Jerry Seinfeld, and I forget the other couple guys. And they all said Jerry was like an introvert when not performing. And he was not great on the radio either. But those were just such fabulous times. And let me ask you this, Bull. What do you think's happening with radio now?
I mean, radio's horrific right now.
Yeah.
I think it just hasn't progressed. I think that people, they just haven't embraced what it could be. Instead, they're literally very rote when it comes to how they do things. And if radio had progressed in a better, different way. And I understand the mechanics behind it and why, people do what they do. It's tried and true formula, whatever. I'm not sure Sirius would have ever existed if terrestrial radio did it right, which is great local talents, right? Which is great music. You don't have to play the first single of every record, right? You can go a little bit deep. It's okay. So I don't know. And obviously, there's radio companies right now that are going bankrupt. My former company that let me go just went bankrupt for the second time in 9 years.
They're all the majors are extremely bankrupt.
Yes.
And personally, guys like you and what you just said, and other guy, I don't think it has anything to do with how they do radio. The fact of the matter is young people don't listen to the radio. Believe me, young people do not listen to the radio, and as old people die off, who's left? They have podcast. Well, I'm not. That's what we're doing, but they have all their own music.
Yep.
Why do they need a radio? Our kids listen to their own music piped on the car.
Yeah, I mean, and I do that too. Don't get me wrong. I'll listen to a little bit of radio and I'll go back and forth to my Spotify. I'll go back to, fill in the blank app. Yeah, I mean, right? So I'll do that too. And part of the reason why I do that is because on Spotify and on Sirius, I got way more opportunity, right? I have way more music. I have stuff that I like that I want to listen to when I want to listen to it.
Exactly.
So if CMF for me, right, if I was still, and I'm not as much of a classic rock guy as I used to be, but I'll just use it for example. So if they went a couple deep on a Clapton record or a couple deep on a fill-in-the-blank record every once in a while, I think you might capture more people. And oh, by the way, there are young people that do listen to classic rock because that's new to them, right? And they're right. So I think it can work. Jake, what do you got? I see you're bobbing your head.
I was just agreeing. I think there's a new era of these kids, we'll call them, who are just getting into new music and discovering all the classics and discovering new forms of medium like film. They're taking photographs with real film. And so I think there will be a resurrection of a lot of this stuff. And I think that makes what we're doing here with the old tapes so much more valuable. But yeah, radio doesn't have a shot. I'm sorry.
Well, I've been reading a ton of books. One of the books I just read was all about music. It was a novel, but it was about music. And they were talking about bands I've never heard of. And I would look them up.
Oh, they were real names?
I'm hoping Bull has heard of this band. Or Jake. Neutral Milk Hotel. Bull?
That's a no for me, dog.
Neutral Milk?
Jake?
No.
And in the book, and I looked them up.
They actually exist.
Yes. And in the book, they make such a big thing out of everybody knew this band. Now, that's just one of many. There they are. Look at that. It's, they had, look at this. It's unbelievable. See them?
Yeah.
So I wrote it down because there were so many other bands in this book. And as I read the book, I could go to Spotify
and listen to it.
Fucking hear a song.
Right.
Where am I going on the radio? I heard Neutral Milk Hotel.
That's cool.
Rock band.
You know what's even weirder? How about this? So I'm on Instagram, and you know how Instagram, when you do a post, you can add music to it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm watching whatever this feed was, and this music sounds really interesting. I'm like, this is really cool. So I want to look this band up, right? So I hit the band name, and I go to wherever it sent me, and I'm like, and I want to see if they're touring, because I would go see this woman go play. And so I go, it was AI.
It wasn't even real?
It wasn't real.
Oh my God.
But it was mind-blowingly good. I've told people about it, and some other people I know actually have heard of it. It's crazy. I can't remember the name of the people, but
it's not a woman, is it? Because there's
it is.
Oh yeah, I hate to say she's big, but I know it's a big deal.
Most of those voices are unique per generation, meaning AI generation. Every time you create one, the next one's going to be a little bit different. They do have voices that you can choose from. But AI music, that's a whole nother scary conversation.
It was crazy, dude. I could not believe what I was seeing. I was like, what?
That's hilarious. So, Bull, here we go. We gotta get to Buffalo.
Hold on. A fan sent us a song they made with AI that is all about you, and it's actually really, really good.
Really?
And he made 3 different versions of it because he was tweaking it. All the lyrics stay the same, but it's crazy because each version sounds so different, but the lyrics are all the same. You can change the tone, the style. It's fun, and we'll check it out. But get into Buffalo. Let's hear it.
I have a friend who I have a friend who thinks he's going to be rich. So he penned 36 songs and had AI generate his songs. And he's like trying to sell them to people to like buy them. I'm going to be rich with my AI generated song.
How does he get rich?
If he gets the song to the right person, I don't know, and they figure out a way to distribute it. I don't know.
Here's the thing though, because it kill. This is the situation with everyone's jobs, not being safe because of AI, and artists are actually seeing an impact from it. But it's funny because Lil Wayne responded to this and said, "We're all good guys." Because he tried to have AI make a song like Lil Wayne, and he said it was crap, and he tried all these different models, he tried all these different ones, and nothing could be as good as what he thought it could be. So he said we're good. But it's, that's Lil Wayne.
So, Bull.
Yes, sir.
Get me when your first gig in Buffalo on the air, what was that?
So that was on 103.3 The Edge. I was doing middays there. I did it literally for about 3 months, and then the afternoon girl left to go to Denver, put me in afternoons, did that for a really long time.
You went to Denver?
No, the girl
I didn't
went
go to
Denver.
The girl I replaced went to Denver, yeah. So I did that for a long time, and it was great. Buffalo's awesome. It was interesting because the station where we were at, both there and then where Ope worked at the Fox was the Edge before it was the Edge. Both of those buildings were in these old buildings in downtown Buffalo on Franklin Street. Reminded me a lot of, like, one was like in a carriage house. The other one was in this old Victorian house. They were both kind of dumpy, but it didn't matter because it gave to sort of the feel and the texture of it being an entertainment medium, right? So great location. And like everything, we ended up going out to an office park, right? Like, it's like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Takes away.
So, but the big question is, how did you get to be the Buffalo Bill? I was so heartbroken when that crap ended.
Yeah.
Because you were, did a lot of fans bitch when you were gone with the Bills?
Well, it's funny. Now, that happened probably in 2013, believe it or not. It's that long ago. And yet I still have people come up to me and say, hey, man, love you on the Bills games. And, man, keep it up. And 13 years later, it's great. It's awesome. So I'll take it all day, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, so what happened was, so my company, when I got there, had the rights to the Sabres. So we had the Sabres when they went to the Cup in '99. I was on the third step of our suite at the arena at the 3 overtime Brett Hull game. Like, I was there for that.
I was there.
We were there. Jake was there.
We had my friend fell asleep. I remember the game. I could see the ice in my eyes if I shut them right now.
How old were you, Jake?
9 or 10.
9, yeah.
And Chad, right?
I think so.
Yeah, Chad Monheim.
Chad Monheim fell asleep.
Yeah.
That's who it was.
So what did you do with the Sabres?
So I did nothing with the Sabres, but because we had the rights to the team, to the team broadcast, we had a suite, whatever. So we had that, and then the Bills contract with who they were with ran out. We decided to add to the Bills to our group. So we had the Sabres and the Bills. And so I'll never forget this. This is awesome for me. So they knew that I had, because when I was still at CMF, I did a weekly show with Jim Kelly. So I would literally drive to Buffalo and I would sit with Jim Kelly wherever it would be, in the visitor locker room, home locker room, cafeteria. I did one of the shows in his house because there was a snowstorm and he had to meet me at his house to do it. So I was doing this. So they knew I had a little bit of a sports background, and I hosted a sports show on Sports Radio 990, if you remember that.
Yeah.
That little can at Winton Road. So I did this. So they knew I had a little bit of sports in my background. So they're like, well, why don't we try you on the postgame show? I'm like, okay, that'd be awesome. And I had obviously forever put my voice in their ear, like, hey, man, you got to let me do this. I'm really good at it, and I love it. Da, da, da. So they did. So it was me and James Lofton the first year doing the postgame show. It was phenomenal. And then they and a third guy who was a local Buffalo TV guy who's still a friend of mine. And then the second year, they got rid of the local TV guy, kept me and James Lofton. And then I think year 3, they made me into the pregame host and postgame host. I did that for about 8 or 9 years. And then the last 2 or 3 years, I was the sideline reporter and all that other stuff. So it was awesome. It was my calling. I met so many people. I flew on the team charter. I stayed in the team plane or hotels. I was everywhere, had every kind of access you could ever imagine. I made great friends. Ryan Fitzpatrick is still a great friend of mine. And you know what's become of him.
Oh,
Fitzy.
he's a nice.
He's amazing.
He was good to me.
Yeah.
That of all people, Fitzy, you pick. He's the greatest.
So, and I met, a ton of great people, made a lot of great friends through and through. And so, yeah, that was a great time, Wease, and thank you for the kind words, because it was, it was the NFL. Like, if you can get in the NFL somehow, that's a pretty damn good gig, right? And I hear some of the people doing it now, and I feel like they sort of take it for granted. Like, they don't take it as seriously as they should. It's kind of a big deal. So.
Paul, you were phenomenal. I mean, whoever does what you did now, who's your guy? Who's the guy that would be you now?
Probably Sal Capaccio is probably the guy most people know of. He does the sideline reports. He's on WGR all the time. He would probably be the equivalent of me.
So how many years you do the Bills?
I did the Bills for almost 15 years.
Wow.
Did you stay into after, like, did that push you into more of a Bills fan, less of a Bills fan because of how they were those years? And are you a little bit, 13, so a couple years later was, 18 is when it all turned around. So did that, obviously must have stung, but are you a huge Bills fan now because you were in the system, basically?
So weirdly, when you're a air quote team broadcaster, whatever, it became so like my brain, like I have killed so many brain cells over the years, so my memory system is horrific. So I literally have to write everything down like all the time. So I would do tons of homework during the game. I still do this weirdly. I write down every single play, not too detailed, but enough that I know what happens. So I would have to go back to it in the post game and talk about these particular plays and actually know what happened, because I literally had no memory, like short-term memory like that at the time. So I had to write everything down. And to your point, Jake, like I've never really been a huge Bills fan. Not that I don't like them, but I've always been like in the profession. So I haven't been a guy that's tailgated and gone to every home game as a fan. So it's really weird. My wife knows this. All my friends know this, that like I'll go to a tailgate and I'll go to, stuff. And I'm kind of like, yeah, this is okay. And whatever, it's just, it was never my thing because I never lived it in those sort of formative fan years, So I never really got into it, and I feel bad about it. I wish I was a bigger fan than I am. I love them, obviously. I root them on. I go on a golf trip every year down to Orlando with a bunch of guys from Cape Cod. They're all massholes, and they're big Patriots fans. And for the longest time on this trip, they just killed us. There's 2 of us from Buffalo, and they would just kill us year in and year. You guys suck. You guys suck. And the Bruins were great, and the Sabres were terrible. And now we're great, and they're terrible, and it's awesome. So my fandom has not been lost. And Jake, I think you had a question.
It sounds like you're just not really a big, like, I'm a big Bills fan. I don't necessarily love going to tailgating and like going to games. I just love the team and like what they're doing.
He's a huge. We're both the same. Well, we both went to the last time for us, Miami Bills. We don't ever want to do it again. But you couldn't be bigger fans than me, Doreen, and Jake. But aren't you the same way?
I am. Yeah. I think that part of it is my age. Like I just walk around tailgates. I'm like, man, these people are. What is going on here? And secondly, like how are you operating at all on a Monday morning? Like how possibly are you surviving this? I can't do this.
I stopped drinking like a couple years ago, and now when I go, you kind of have a different lens when you're around a lot of drunk people and you're not drinking. So you see, but that part of the reason why I made that decision is because of exactly what you're saying. How can you go through a day after? You have to take off of the day after to function. You can't do that and then be a human for a day. It's insane.
I'll take the other view. I personally think it's fun. I love watching, even if I'm drinking or not drinking, but it's a lot funner when you partake, I guess, too. But to be around all the people before and jumping through the tables and lighting the tables on fire and people barbecuing, I think it's cool. I don't know. I enjoy it, and I think it's a fun thing for all the fans that they get that, and hope with the new stadium.
Get home at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
I hope with the new stadium that they still have a good area that everyone
Same
tailgates.
place.
And
Look, same place.
Not only is it going to be good, they extended the parking spots an extra 3 feet to cater to tailgating.
Oh, that's great.
So, Bull, Sabres or Bills equal fandom for you?
So you may not know this, but I actually was the Sabres in-arena host for a couple of years.
I didn't know
which
that.
Which is also really, it was so awesome. It was so awesome. So same thing. I was around the team. I was doing interviews post-game on the ice with the guys and all that stuff that those people do. So that was a blast. Loved it. So and look, I was here, like I said, for 99. I was here for 05, 06 and 10 and 11 when they were all, pretty good back in those days. And those were unforgettable times in my sports fandom life. I mean, it was just, it was going to put it this way, going to a playoff game when it's an NHL hockey playoff game, when it's 70 degrees out, there is nothing like it. It is. You go in a t-shirt and shorts. You're tailgating. Oh man, that was great. So I can't wait for that to come back.
Right. So I was just gonna say that I saw a screenshot of somebody who posted from the Sabres are actually communicating playoff tickets to season ticket holders, and it's like a giddy situation. And we got puck drop in 4 hours today, and it's like it's the greatest time to be a Sabres fan. It's also crazy. No other team, I don't think, has been so bad for 14 years straight, and then just like that, become the best team. No one, year after year, they get a little better. They're getting towards the hump. No, we just stayed the worst and then went to number one. I don't know if any other team's done that.
Well, we had a bus from my house for every playoff game.
Yeah.
Whatever year, like you said.
It was that 99 year, I think.
Couple years in a row.
A couple years. 1 year.
16 people. I would get 16 tickets.
The whole bus of us were almost like halfway at least, and Wease realized he forgot all the tickets. Oh, that was bad.
So
that wouldn't happen now because of phones.
Right,
That's right.
Right, but then you had so who did I call that had a Corvette?
I can't.
Someone was supposed to get in their Corvette. But what happened was nobody could. Everyone was gonna kill me on the butt.
Oh, it was bad.
But I called up the ticket kid, whose name I forgot that I know you would know, Bull, and he just reprinted the ticket because nobody stole.
I think his name was Marty something.
It was
Marty Maloney.
Marty Maloney.
Yeah, it was him.
I know Marty.
Marty Maloney.
Good, great kid. Yeah.
You don't think he's still there, do you?
Yeah, I think he is still there.
Oh my goodness.
Pretty sure.
He might be getting a phone call. What's that?
Are you going to go, Bull?
Oh, wow.
You know what? I've been to 2 games this year. I don't go to a lot of games, unfortunately. And it's look, I mean, we got kind of spoiled when they were bad because you could literally get a ticket for $6. I mean, it was like absurd. So now the tickets are $150 for a 300 level ticket. I mean, it's getting a little expensive.
If you want to go by yourself, you could go. You can get a good ticket though if you go by yourself.
That's right.
Jake went. Right.
Jake has a trick. If you go by yourself, you can get the best ticket in the house.
He had how much was that ticket, Jake?
It was $150 for the gold medal homecoming game. So it was a big game, and second row behind the net, the one we shoot on twice. So I mean, can't really get a better. You don't want to sit there every game because you can't see quite the best view, but those bodies hitting those boards, bouncing, people's drinks flying on their laps. It's fun.
Well, we're going to go ahead, Bull.
No, I was just going to say, you're a hockey guy, man. Like, like I never played hockey just wasn't a thing that I picked up growing up. But like, man, those seats, Jake, you know this. If you've never been that close, you deserve to be there at least once to see A, how big these guys really are, and B, how little space there is on the ice. It looks like from above, it looks like there's a ton of space. They can move the puck. But man, when you are that close and you can see how precise they have to be in everything they do, and then you feel the hits because they're right in front of you. Their faces, depending on where you are, could be 5 feet in front of you. You can see them grimacing and getting hit and fights. Right, it's such a different game from that perspective. And Jake, I would tell you, it's not a place you want to sit every game, obviously, but it's pretty amazing.
I had a friend. I had the opportunity to sit in the 200 right at center ice, right like the first row in the 200. So that is the absolute best seat you could have, in my opinion. And it was the third period. I wanted to see the last period, them coming at us. I don't even think we scored. I think the 3-2 was the final. They scored all 3 goals in the first and second period. But it was still cool. And to your point, so you don't want to see that every game.
I will tell you, Bull, I go back to I hate to admit it because people hate old people, but I had season tickets to the Philadelphia Flyers in the early 70s. And, I mean, I can name you every guy on a team when they won to this day.
Yep.
But I also contend for sure, because old guys these kids today are 100 times better than them. I am telling you, Bobby Clark, who is an icon from Philadelphia, he wouldn't be shit on this Sabres team. They're so fast.
So fast.
And the passing and everything, 10 times faster than back in the 70s.
They're not as tough, though, they would say. They're not putting
not
their body... In terms of they would go out, it seems like this past month the hitting has ramped up significantly.
Yeah.
But people say the difference between hockey back then and today is it's way more finesse now, like you're saying, passing, speed. Before it was just big bodies running around. You had to just have that extra layer of toughness.
Well, I'm sure Bull has seen the documentary about when Russia came over in the 70s. And they played some NHL teams, and they played Philly with Dave Schultz, and Philadelphia just beat them up physically. And Russia was going to leave after the first period. They're going, fuck this. We play hockey. And so Ed Snyder, who I recall, owned the team, said, you can leave, but you're not getting paid. And they had to stay. Flyers beat them up, won the game.
Isn't the Broad Street Bullies?
What? Broad Street Bullies. And, as a fan, I'm telling you the truth, bro. People call me a pussy, but I like it better now. It was pretty hack. I mean, Dave Schultz, who was a goon, they had every team had what they called a goon. They're not good hockey players even, but they could beat the crap out.
But that guy had his part. They would send him out at the right time to rattle the other team.
The Sabres just at the trade deadline grabbed 3 dudes who maybe you would call their goons. Stanley's 6'7". The dude.
One guy is
he's
really
a monster.
big.
He's not the best. He's slow. He's the opposite of every other guy on the team. But there's a place for those guys, and obviously Buffalo sees a use for that right now going into the spring.
Hey, didn't the new guys from the Rangers score 2 goals for the other night?
I think
Carrick? Yeah, I think he did. Yeah.
I think he has 4 total.
That?
Yeah.
4 for the Sabres already?
Yeah. Yep.
What a deal.
Yeah, it's crazy. So little small piece of knowledge for you, Wease, about me is that, so I grew up on Highland Parkway. You know where that is, obviously, in your old crib where you grew up in Swilberg.
Yeah.
And so my best friend was like a year or 2 older than me. And he had these books with like these stamps of like hockey players, right? And I kept kind of doing the same thing and collecting them and whatever as we went by. But he loved the Flyers. So my first favorite team was the Flyers. Because at the time, the Amherst were like, the Bruins was the Amherst parent club at the time. I didn't really care. But the Flyers had Clark, Dornhofer, Barber, Bernie Perron.
Number
go down
12,
the list, man.
Bill Barber.
Oh, yeah. They were awesome. Absolutely awesome. And so I was pretty much a Flyers fan until I moved to Buffalo. And then I just kind of naturally shifted gears because I don't know. Somebody told me, I don't know if it was you or it might have been Crohn's actually, who I just saw like about 6 weeks ago for the first time in I don't know how many years.
How's he doing?
He's funny, man. He's the same exact guy. Might be missing a couple of teeth, but same exact guy. So but it was either you or him that said, no matter where you live, you have to root on the team in the city where you're earning your paycheck.
That was me because
it was Wease.
Me and John, the two. You know who the biggest Flutie, your buddy Doug Flutie, wherever he lived, that would be, who you cheer for. And I used to hate people, in Rochester that are fans of these bullcrap teams half a country away when we got teams. But the whole deal is when I moved back here from Philadelphia and still had season tickets in Philly, who I gave to my stepson, after I left. But I would go to Buffalo when Philly played for about 2-3 years. Then I go, what am I doing? I'm here. So that's when I segued out of Philly and became a Sabre fan. A million years ago, though. What's your prognosis, bro? What?
But my origin story of fandom ship. What? Did you say something, Dorian?
What about it?
No. So
you were breaking up.
I originally started in football as a Packers fan, and then a Steelers fan. I liked Cordell Stewart and Heinz Ward's in that team. But I got the same speech from my father, but it wasn't where you got your paycheck, and I can't actually remember what he said. I think it might have been where you pay your taxes or just wherever you live. But he gave me a really hard time. He said, in this family, we're not fans of anybody but the team in the city we live. So I had a comforter that was a Steelers comforter. He's like, we have to get rid of this. We can't have this in this house. I still have so everybody I know that's not a fan of the Bills or the Sabres or that's really it, I guess. I make them tell me their origin, their fan story, because if I don't agree with it, I give them a really hard time, kind of like Wease does. So.
Well, it's so silly to me, but most people that are fans of a team from far away, they're so proud of their fandom. And I mean, Jesus, especially for us. Forget about it. That you worked with the Sabres and the Bills. We did training camp for a bunch of years and became friends with players. And how can you not be a fan of guys you actually... I knew people that used to come to our broadcasts that were fans of another team, and they would meet players, and I would say, how you cheering against these guys you're hanging out with?
I sat on Jim Kelly's lap when I was like 2 years old.
Yeah,
he did.
But to put it in perspective, though, there's no way. I don't care where Jake or Lucy would ever move. They're never gonna not be a Bills fan. You guys, I don't care where you would move to or where Lucy would move to.
Well, it's different if you move and you've already been with a team for 20 years. That's different too. Yeah. That doesn't count.
And so when I was a little kid, so my dad was not much of a sports fan. He didn't watch a lot of sports. And I just got into it because all my friends were in that way, right? So my first favorite team, apologies, Wease, was the Raiders, right? And it was the Raiders, and I tell the story to anybody that wants to ever hear it, but it was Super Bowl 11, and my grandmother was watching me. Just me, not my other brothers. And I said, Grandma, can I watch the Super Bowl? It was literally the Super Bowl. She's like, sure. And the Raiders were great. And the Bills, were just kind of we didn't go to Bills games, and you didn't really watch them on TV because they weren't great. So I think for a lot of kids, the team they start rooting for is the team that's really good. Right, I think that happens a lot.
Yeah,
I think that happens a lot. Like entry level fandom, you're rooting for the team that's good, regardless of where you live. Unless, of course, your parents are like really diehard, hardcore from the get go. Like if you're born with a Bills jersey on, okay, you're probably going to be a Bills jersey forever, right? Or Bills fan forever.
Yes.
If you're not, and you're kind of picking up sports on your own, you're rooting on the team that's really good because it's easy, right?
And it's fun. Let's be honest, it's more fun.
So Jake,
what you're saying
why is
that
Bull at your house?
No.
Look at the house. Look at Bull's joint.
Yeah.
It's like Jake's.
With all the sports.
Oh,
and
my
stuff. Jake has a
God.
cool Bills den.
Yeah, this is my man cave.
Yeah, I see that. It looks pretty good, bro.
So what we're saying
Is that somebody died in the war thing?
That is the flag from my dad's casket. Yes.
Oh, wow.
Oh, he was a veteran.
He was.
I see that all the way from here. So before we end the broadcast and talk about Salvatore's.com, let me tell you guys something. If you need a gig, if you want to go into business, Soccer Sam, Salvatore Fantuzzo, I knew he started Salvatore's in high school.
As part of a project.
And I met him.
East Ridge High School. I remember you telling me.
East Ridge.
In 1978. Like 40. This will be 48 years in business this summer for him.
But now you can own. This summer they celebrating 48 years in business. And, there's so many Salvatores. Actually, one opened in Florida now.
Yep. And if you're looking for a part-time gig or full-time gig, or if you really thinking you want to take the shot and own your own business, join the Salvatore's Pizza family. Go to salvatores.com, and there's a lot of career and new opportunities available for you.
Okay, but some of the people that own these franchises started out folding pizza boxes.
That's right.
Soccer Sam, one of the greatest guys in town.
I can vouch for Salvatore's, by the way.
How's that?
And I haven't lived in Rochester in almost 30 years. There was a Salvatore. I grew up off of Winton Road near Merchants, and there was a Salvatore's on Main Street. And that was our pizza place.
Bro, that's the first one.
Was it really? I didn't even realize that.
The one on Main, right past East High School.
Yes.
That was his first one, and that's where I met him. And he was a kid, and that was number one. Anyway,
it was great back then, man.
Anyway, Bo, before we take a powder, give me your prognostication. Is that the right word?
Yeah, prognosis. Yeah.
On the Bills and especially the Sabres. What do you see?
I think the Bills, it's going to be tough for them. I think they make the playoffs, but I think they can win the division. I like the additions. I like DJ Moore a lot. I know people are bitching about how much it costs, but he has performed really, really well with really bad quarterbacks. And if they make him a big part of the offense, I think he will really thrive with Josh Allen. So the Bills, I think, will be okay. I think people will forget that their schedule's really, really, really hard. It is super hard.
That's scary, bro.
That is scary.
It's kind of not fair.
But they still have, you could argue that Josh is still, if he's not one, he's top 3 quarterbacks in the league, and he's going to get you to a lot of places that other quarterbacks couldn't. So I like their chances of making the playoffs. I would love the fairy tale of, first year in the stadium winning the Super Bowl. That would be amazing. But I don't know if that's going to happen. And then the Sabres, look, I hate to say this, but this is the Buffalo fan in me. I've been waiting for the Sabres to collapse for the last 6 weeks. And they haven't. And I read a stat on X the other day where their last 40 games or something, no one has done what they've done since the 95-96 Red Wings. So do that math. That's 30 years since what they're doing now has been done. So how can they not be considered for a Stanley Cup? Their goalies have to stay hot, no doubt.
Yeah.
If their goalies don't stay hot, we got a small problem. But, they're getting scoring from everybody. The defense is playing really well. I can't argue with, I hate to say it, but at this point, they're ahead of the Bills, I think, in being able to win. And the last thing on this, sorry, I know I've been tending to ramble here. But I felt like, I think everybody felt like last year was the Bills' year, right? No Burrow, no Lamar, go down the list of all the people that were out of the way for the Bills to make the Super Bowl, right? And obviously they didn't. You could say the same thing about the Sabres this year. Like the other teams that are typically killers in the East have been, the Panthers are the defending champs and they stink.
Terrible.
They're terrible.
Terrible.
So, Tampa Bay's in the way. I think they're still pretty quality, but what the Sabres have done to them recently, right?
Yeah. 2 games.
And then, in the West, there's a couple teams in the West, but there's 3 or 4 teams in their way total. So, I bet
I put $100 on it at plus 1,900.
Good for you.
I read newspapers, and the experts, so to speak, don't think they like the Sabres, but they don't think the goaltending can go far.
They just had back-to-back shutouts. Like, what are you talking about?
I'm just telling you what I read. That's all.
Yeah. I'm just disputing that. But yeah, on paper, they're both have been phenomenal. But to Bull's point, we've been waiting for that collapse for a long time. But since long before the break, even we were thinking after the break, that was the anxiety was, are they going to come back from this break and be the team that we just saw go into it? And they were. And now look at what's happening. These back-to-back shutouts today. Dad, you said they're saying the bet is on LA today. So we'll see what happens. And
the New York Post Bull today said bet LA against the Sabres. They have betting stuff.
I'm really looking forward to the next Tampa Bay Lightning game with Sabres because the Tampa Bay tried to beat the momentum out of the Sabres, but they didn't do it. So
that was remarkable.
Can we call Marty? Can we call whatever his name is for sending me some tickets, please?
If you want to.
Hell yeah. Are you kidding me? That game's going to be...
It was so great seeing you, man. This is so great to have you. I've always loved you. You're absolutely one of the nicest kids I ever knew. I'm not kissing your ass. No, I got other friends, not so good.
Well, you went to his graduation party, so he definitely
100 years ago.
And we want to say a thank you to Clark Peshkin because this wouldn't be possible without them. They're our sponsors. If you're even thinking about that it's time for you to have a will, do yourself a favor and go to one of their free seminars and learn, because what you really need is a plan, not a will. And they will just help you just determine what's the best plan for you. It'll do your loved ones a big favor. And yourself.
If you can't make those 2 dates, there is a live seminar that you can join. Just go to the site and you'll see that information. And you can still get all this valuable information
so sign
from
up
the comfort of your home.
WeaseFamilyCircus.com, or it might be a QR code that you can click on and sign up that way. But what do you want to say, Bo?
I just want to, Bull, keep pushing, bro. Let me know if you need anything. Love you, and thanks for gigging with us.
And
it's nice to be important, Bull.
But it's more important to be nice.
Later.